What is going on, y'all? Thank y'all so much for joining us. I just lost an earbud. My name is Chris. This is ending the stigma. Sorry for the late start. Like I was backstage, like we were just jamming, like we were having a great time talking and chopping it up. Um, so my guest tonight, like we were talking about this backstage. We thought we had met through Jennifer, my girlfriend, but she was like, "No, we didn't," and it was through somebody else. I don't even remember. Anyway, she sent me a friend request, and then I got to meet them in person at the We Fight Monsters Thanksgiving event in the hood at Bellevue and Macklemore. Um, and it's just been this amazing, like, kind of evolution of a friendship. Like, it went from not knowing each other to being like brother and sister almost immediately. Part of that is because of Jennifer, but part of it is just because, whenever you're a kindred spirit, whether it's in, recovery or brothers and sisters in the Lord or whatever, like it's just there. So I'm super excited tonight to welcome David and Apryl Abbot. Um, Let me say hi to a couple people real quick. We have Jennifer Farley is watching on YouTube. Hi, baby. How's it going? Glad you're here. Casey Abels, my sister from another mister. Love that girl. If you're here, drop a comment so I know you're here. Otherwise, I won't know you're here if you don't drop a comment. So, anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to bring out David and Apryl Abbot with two T's because I absolutely bombed that in the graphic. How are y'all doing?
Two B's, two T's.
Two B's, two T's.
Yes.
I went back and looked, and I was like, not only did I bomb it in the graphic, I bombed it in the body of the post. So I could fix that, but I couldn't fix the graphic.
That's all right.
It's all good.
Yeah, that was a product of like before 8 o'clock this morning, putting it all
Yeah, you
together
were up
and
early.
oh, I know it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was great. So thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm glad you're
Glad to
vaping,
do it.
dude, because I always feel like I'm the only one vaping sometimes because I will vape the hell out of my podcast. Like it will be foosh. All right. So look, we met regardless of how we met. Like Apryl, you've been friends with Jennifer for 20 years ish.
Yeah, a long time. Mm-hmm.
You and David have known each other since you were 10 and he was 12.
Yep.
So it's just this crazy story of how God brought y'all together umpteen years later.
Yeah, God kept us together, actually. We just didn't know
Really?
it.
All right.
Yeah.
Lay it all
Yep.
out there. Somebody start
Yep.
the story. Let's go with it.
All right. So, growing up for me, in the beginning was very strange. A lot of my mom's boyfriend sexually molested my sister and I for many years until my sister and I finally got the courage to tell my mom what was going on. And there was like a short time where we were in foster care, and ultimately my grandmother got custody of me when I was in third grade. So I was really kind of too young to remember some of the things that went on. I have a few memories of like, um, this is sort of graphic, but this is just two of the things that I remember. One, my mom's boyfriend had us sitting on the side of the bed, and my sister picked up a can of hairspray and like sprayed him in the eyes, and she was trying like to defend us, but we were too small. I remember that kind of vividly. I also remember like running away we lived in an apartment complex, and there was like a golf course behind us, and I remember running away and my sister like cutting my hair off with paper scissors. My hair was awful. We ended up going back home before my mom even knew we snuck out, and got in a lot of trouble for that. So anyway, my grandmother got custody of me, um, and we moved to Raleigh, and I lived on Teslin, and David lived on Kerwin.
Kerwin.
Yeah, it was Kerwin. Okay. So we were literally like 3 houses away from each other. And after my grandmother got custody of me, everything changed. Everything was better for me, obviously. She overcompensated. her children were grown. My aunt Shannon and Sharon, my dad, everybody was older, which I have two aunts, but because my grandmother raised me, they're more like sisters to me. Shout out to
Yeah.
Shannon. She's keeping my baby
Yeah.
while we do this. So thank you for that. But yeah, so I can remember being spoiled rotten between all of them, between my
Yeah.
grandmother, my aunt Shannon, my aunt Sharon. They like rode me around like I was a little doll. Um, and it was just good. You know, I had everything that I ever could have wanted. My grandmother would even go get like hot towels out of the dryer for me when my water cut off. Just rotten to the core. I had everything that I could ever imagine.
Now we do that for Ava.
Yeah, now we do that for Ava.
And I love now that I have two little girls in my life named Ava. Like, Benny Jess's daughter is named Ava, and she's like this sassy, sweet, like full of life kind of thing, kind of like y'all's is. And now I have two little girls named Ava in my life. So I love that.
Aw, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call her Peach. Peaches.
Yeah, she is definitely that little red
Mm-mm.
hair.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, um, I don't know. Do you want to kind of tune in right there on your childhood while we were living on the same block? He
Yeah.
wouldn't play with me, by the way. He would
Yeah.
not have anything to do with me when we were little. But I
we
was
were
there and saw
and
him
we were
break his arm one time.
Yeah.
He jumped
and
off
we
the
were
bleachers
talking to
and
the backstage like you were 10, he was 12. Like, now as adults, like that's nothing.
Two
But
years
when
is
you're
nothing.
kid,
Yeah. But when it's
yeah,
a
but when
quarter
you're
of your
kids, it's
life, it's a
like,
big
yeah,
difference.
right.
one time
Yeah.
he jumped off the bleachers, he's trying to be cool, I guess, and he missed the mat and he fell right on the concrete.
Like 20 feet, man, landed right on my arm and snapped my arm in two. It was crazy. So I lived on the same, in the same neighborhood right around the corner. I grew up way different. I had my mom and my stepdad. My stepdad was a double amputee. He had one on one leg, and he was in and out of prison his whole life, up until the point he married my mom. And he, let's see, so both my parents were on disability, so we didn't have a lot of money. We would go to the Pony
Yeah.
Outlet, for those of y'all who remember. Back in the day in the 80s, we'd go to the Pony Outlet and get all our shoes and pants and shirts and stuff. That's where I got my Christmas clothes from, and it was, we didn't have no money. So, but, we didn't do without, but we just didn't have a lot, and that's how I grew
Yeah.
up. And I didn't know any different being a kid, I just thought that's the way it was. Uh,
Right.
but my parents had good morals. My parents had good morals, and my stepdad, having been through what he had been through, uh, he didn't even raise his own kids. And so when he married my mom and she had two young kids, he would, he did his best with us.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the better of a job that I realize he did, trying to teach us how to be and how to be responsible. I mean, if you walk out of a room, you cut the light off. All the little things. We had a checklist of chores on the refrigerator that we had to do every day, and like on our birthdays, we might get a couple of presents, but we would get coupons. And and my mom would make them. She was real crafty, but she would make these coupons, and it'd be like, one day no emptying the dishwasher, or like one day no taking out the trash. We thought we did something.
That's
That
cute.
was a big deal.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So, it was there was a lot of love in the house. There wasn't a lot of money, and I didn't have a lot of nice things like a lot of the kids growing up. Because when you're a kid, you see kids, especially after Christmas, everybody's got Jordans and they got the pullover starter jackets, and man,
Yeah.
I'm rocking the ponies, I'm rocking the Buster Browns, you know what I mean? And hey, they were new, but it wasn't Nike,
Yeah.
it wasn't starter,
Right.
and it
Right.
wasn't none of
Right.
that, and so I always, that always kind of gave me a complex,
Yeah.
but you know, I remember when I was 14, so at about 13, I started working. I started framing houses with my brother,
Yeah.
and because we didn't have no money, and all this stuff that I wanted to have. My stepdad used to tell me, look, if you want something, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
And he had instilled in us from the time I was 3 till that point that a good work ethic. Like we're out in the yard raking leaves, we're cutting the grass, we're edging with the manual edger. You know what I'm saying? Not
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
electric or gas edger. We're out
Yeah.
there, working hard. And so at about 13, I started going. I went framed houses with my brother, and I've been a carpenter ever since. That's what I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved the camaraderie. I loved being around my family, and uh, and it was awesome. And I remember my first check at 13 was $264.
Dude,
And it
hey,
was like
You were
it was like
banking, boy.
$7 an hour or something like that. But
Yeah.
then that was
Yeah.
good money. This
Yeah.
is like
yeah,
92, 93.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I was doing something,
Yeah.
and I bought myself a pair of K Swiss, the icy white K Swiss
Yes. Come on with it.
back
Yes.
back in like 93,
Yes.
94, something like
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
that was the best feeling in the world, you know what I mean? At the
Yeah.
time,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, definitely completely different upbringings. At that
Yeah.
time, I remember having like the summer memberships to Adventure River and going skating every night they were open.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that I even ever had to feel my grandmother overcompensated for everything that I had been through. And so it was a lot different.
Yeah.
Our childhoods are completely opposite.
And it always, like, I've interviewed, a couple hundred people with all different backgrounds. And it never, every time I hear a story like yours, April, where it's, a childhood, an abusive childhood and all this kind of crazy stuff. And you come out of it and now, you're an adult, you have a husband, you have kids. And not to say you don't carry the weight of it, but you're freaking normal.
Yeah, well, the
And
weight of
like I say, I'm not discounting anything you went through. I'm just saying, like,
right.
you're living your life, you know?
Oh
And
yeah.
to me, that's just a testament of what God can do.
Yeah. Well, because at some point it's not about what happens to us anymore, right? It's
Right.
about
No,
what
for
we
sure.
allow to happen in us. You
Yes.
know,
Come on.
what
Oh, that's a
what
shirt.
we yeah, how we take it, what we do with it, that's what counts in the end anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Getting out of victim mode,
Right.
you know.
And
Yeah.
making sure
For
that we
sure.
have a house that is full of love for children and adults,
Yeah.
like our house is
Yeah.
a safe place.
Yeah.
So, but we weren't always this way, not always.
Right. No,
This
no.
God knew what he
No,
was doing.
yeah.
So
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 tell us, like,
after
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no no
I'll
no
let
go
you take
ahead.
it. No, I was going to say, so tell us, like, the journey of, David wouldn't have anything to do with you. Fast forward however many years. And then how did y'all meet back up?
Okay, so fast forward, I get married and I have 2 children with
Mm-hmm.
someone, and
Mm-hmm.
my dog keeps going under the fence. Guess whose yard it keeps going in?
Yeah.
God was
I
working,
live right
boy.
behind them.
Yes, yes,
I swear. I swear. I live right behind them. And at this time I'm in drug court,
same.
So in
Me too. We're
so
both in
in
drug court at the same time. I had called a charge at Walgreens working as a pharmacy tech.
in 2010 I called my first lab charge. It was a initiation meth manufacturing process. I got 8
Yeah.
years probation and 18 months drug court. First felony, first charge ever.
Yeah.
And so I live Bartlett, Memphis line right there off of Elmore. And
Yeah.
Elmore and Witten and the closest meeting
And
is
that's and I don't know Memphis very well, but that's a decent part of Memphis, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
It was. It still is.
Yeah.
But the closest meeting was a meeting called Waggle, and so I'm having to go to meetings every day, taking I took 248 drug tests in 18 months. This is how often. Yeah, this is how
So, dude,
often they're calling
you
you.
don't
Like
even
you
pee
have to
that many
call in
times
3
in
times a
18
day.
months.
Yeah, yeah. You call in 3 times a day. If they call your color, you got an hour to get down there and drug
Right.
test. And they're sitting there watching you drug test.
It's
Every
very
time.
rigorous.
Yeah.
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 It's pretty intense.
No.
But so at the meeting, April and her ex-husband were there. You know, and I want to say, like at first, like I reckon, like it had been 20 years since I'd seen them, since I seen her.
Yeah.
And when I seen her, I was like, dang, April, what's up, April Smith? Because her last name was Smith as a kid, and that's what I knew her as. And
Yeah.
I said something to her, and we were just kind of in passing, just saying what's up or whatever, and that's where we kind of seen each other again as adults, as
Yeah.
struggling in recovery,
Yeah.
and you want to take up from what happened through your marriage and everything.
Oh, that's a loaded question. So,
You like
yeah,
to get
yeah. Uh,
And you don't have
Obviously,
to get into anything you don't want to get into. Like,
yeah,
it's
right.
all
yeah,
good.
right.
Like gloss over anything you want to gloss over. We're good
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty open, we're open about anything. So if anybody later on, if I don't touch on something that anybody has any questions on, please feel free to like reach out to me
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
let's get together because
we're very transparent.
yeah, I
Yeah.
honestly feel like the reason that we go through hard times is to become more reliant on God. And if I don't
Yeah.
share my trenches with someone else and the hard things that I went through, then I'm not doing God any justice or anybody else really, because I need
Yeah.
to speak on what it was like. But yeah, so I got married, had 2 boys, and that marriage did not stand the test of time, if you will. And
Been there, done that. I
mm,
understand.
yeah, yep. And when we divorced, um, I had no idea first thing that's coming to my mind is an onion. I had no idea the layers of
Hmm.
divorce and how it would affect me
Hmm.
in so many ways, the people around me in so many ways, my children
Yeah.
in so many ways. I really had no idea. And so yeah, that I was not stable. I was not the stable one after my divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I ended up
I
getting
get it. Like, I get that
supervised
100%.
visitation with my boys, and that is the pain that I don't wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Why did you get supervised visitation?
Because I couldn't stay sober. I was
Yeah.
um yeah, I just was struggling in every way of the word. I just COVID was like the worst time for me. Like that was my bottom. COVID was my bottom.
Yeah.
I didn't have my kids. I didn't have a place to stay. I was literally like had half my belongings in one house, half in another house. I was like bouncing between them when things got too rocky over here. I would go over there. It was just complete craziness and definitely not any place for my 2 kids. They needed the stability that they had with their dad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shout out to him and Erica for doing that. Because
And that's big ups to you for realizing that.
oh
That's
yeah,
huge.
yeah, yeah. Well, for a long time I didn't know. I was in denial about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I was the victim and they took
Right.
them from me and blase, but I was living in the belly of the beast
Yeah.
for real. Like not knowing where I was going to sleep or who was going to pay for a room or if they were going to be mad at me because I didn't put out, like
Yeah.
that's the life I
Yeah.
was living for real.
Yeah.
And messing with somebody who I thought really loved me, but they had, they put a needle in my arm. Like that's where my
Yeah.
addiction took me, all the way into a
Yeah.
hotel, putting a needle in my arm.
Yeah.
And it was just the bottom, man, the bottom for me. And
And to me, that is like, I never ever get tired of hearing of the redemption process in stories like that, because you
yeah,
absolutely hit the shit,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and God brought you all the way out of it. And look where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. So
It
I'll
is huge, man.
let me pick up
Yeah.
my little part of the story to that point.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a 19-year-old son. I was with his mom for like 15 years of crazy, chaotic nuttiness.
Good times.
It was, it was crazy because from just about the day my son was born, um, I started using meth, right? So I
Yeah.
started using, and then uh, I got tired of trying to chase it down, so I learned how to make it.
Yeah. And I was just fixing
And
to ask you, with all the charges and everything, like, did you start cooking?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was in 2004 I started using. 2005 my son was born. 2010 I started cooking in 2006. I cooked all the way to 2010. Caught my first charge, initiation. That's when I saw her. That's when I had gotten on drug court. 8 months, 8 years of probation. Um, Stayed clean. Graduated drug court. Stayed clean for about another 18 months. 2014, I get caught cooking again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, both times I got snitched on, and I don't, I'm gonna own my stuff. You know what I mean? Like if I wouldn't do
Mm-hmm.
anything to be snitched on about, I would, there would be no
Right.
reason to snitch. So it was me all of us, all the whole way. Um, and then let's see, that was 2014. I did
That reminds me of something. Can you hold that thought for one
sure.
second? That just reminds me of something in the big book that I want to read. And look at the front of my book.
Oh, it's got Raven stickers all over it. I love
Yes.
that.
You sent me
Heck
those
yes.
stickers and the roller
Yes.
skates. Shout out to everybody who went
Yes.
skating.
Yes.
I do want to read this real quick, and I'm sure people who are in
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
program will know exactly what this is. But this is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And on page 62, it says selfishness, self centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles, driven by 100 forms of fear, self delusion, self seeking, and self pity. We step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us seemingly without provocation, but we invariably find that at some point in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. So when he said that, he got snitched on or whatever, it's like, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
selfishness and self-centeredness. That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah.
You know, so that so wow, okay, so 2014, I go to prison. I get sentenced to, they violate my 8 years probation. I'm about 4.5 years in, 4 years in. Uh, they violate my 8 years and they charge me with another lab charge, which I fought for a couple of years. And the justice system, I guess, when you're a criminal, works in your favor because you don't have to take the first offer that they give you. You just fight it for a little while, and they'll drop it down, to where they give you less time. So it went from another Class B felony down to a Class C felony, 8 years down to 3 years. So I had 8 years of violation. They hit me with another 3 years, so I had 11 years. So I go to prison. I go to the penal farm. Uh, in 2014, I get out in 2016 on parole. 2016, while I'm out, I only get out for 4 months. So the day after I get out, I'm in there and I'm still not done. Like
Yeah.
I haven't done anything to work on me.
Yeah.
I think I went when I was like 33. I got out when I was 35, on parole. I start using immediately. When I get out on parole, I get out to a hotel room.
Mm.
I didn't have
Mm.
anywhere to live,
Yeah.
and before, well, let's see. Yeah, I get out to a hotel room. I start using immediately. I last 4 months. At the end of the 4 months, right before I violate my parole, I'm living in my truck, and things are
Yeah.
just way worse than they were before. It's just quickly. And
Isn't it crazy how every time you go back out, it's always like
yeah,
I've never interviewed one person or had a conversation with one person that when they got clean and went back out, however many times that happened, literally every time they went back out, it was worse than it's ever been before.
yeah, right,
Yeah, for sure, for
right,
sure.
yeah,
And I get so thankful this part of our story. This is the one time that God had us completely separated.
right,
Because could
Yeah.
you imagine him cooking and me using, us being together?
right,
That would have
No, I
been
already know. I've seen
disaster.
that story 100 times.
One of us would be
right,
Yeah.
dead probably,
yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I violate. So I go back in 16. I stay at the Pinto Farm for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, and they lose their contract. Right. So I got 11
Hmm.
years. They lose their contract, so they start only taking people with 6 years or less. So they ship me off to the penitentiary.
Hmm.
Right. So I go to Bledsoe, and they, that's where they classify you. I was there for like 45, 50 days or something. They send me to Whiteville, and I stay there for about 2.5 years. During that time, I got into some things, some trouble, some problems, stabbed some
Yeah.
people. Uh, went to the hole for a really, really long time. But while I was in the hole, um, I did a lot of soul searching, man. I did a lot of the only thing in the hole that they'll allow you to have is a Bible.
Right.
And
And let me ask you this,
I'm
and we
pretty
can
sure I read
gloss.
it like three times. What, say again?
Yeah. No, I was going to say, let me ask you this, and we can gloss over this if you don't even want to get into it. But did you ever get down with anybody when you were in prison?
Oh man, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. No, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
I understand. I
Uh,
understand completely.
Yeah. We can talk later about it.
Yeah.
But
No, you're
I don't
good,
want,
bro.
Private message me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
No, you're good. And I
so
probably shouldn't have asked that live, but
yeah, there's certain things just don't need
yeah,
everybody
certain
you
things
know.
you don't want to talk about. I get it
So
100%.
but I read the Bible. I'm pretty sure I read the Bible like 3 times while I was in the hole. And I remember the first time I ever read it. I was trying to read it like a novel, right?
Yeah.
And I kept getting pissed off because you can't read it like a Bible. I
No.
mean, like a novel. It's not
No.
a story. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
And like it's
Mm-mm.
jumping all over the place, and I'm like, man, what is this crap? Like, you know,
Yep.
and um, and about, I don't know, a couple of months towards the end of my whole stay, um, I'm waking up and I'm hearing people screaming, and I've seen people get killed, and I've, just been in a terrible place, and I'm getting older, and I'm starting to kind of see things for what they are. It just kind of, I'm sure it was the process that God had in store for me. I've always been really hard headed, and I've always had to learn the hard way. I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah,
know,
I did too. It took 8.5 years almost in prison for me to learn. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah,
I
I
yeah,
didn't
get
know
it
that.
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So about 2 months before I got out of the hole, I woke up one morning and I was just completely done. I was completely um,
Yeah.
done. I surrendered my life over to God. And
Yeah.
at the time, I knew what God was. I didn't know how to do it, but I'd cross my hands and I'd pray and every morning. And then I get out and I go back to to gym pop, and I'm sitting in there and every morning I wake up and I pray and I'm get down on my knees and got my hands crossed and I think I'm doing everything the way I'm supposed to be doing it or whatever. But I'm praying like a 5-minute prayer, I mean, God,
Yeah.
please get me out of this place. Man, I'll do whatever I got to do. Please just get me out of here. And,
Yeah.
I like women. So I don't like being around a bunch of men
Come
all
on.
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
That ain't where it's at. So, then a couple guys come over and asked me to pray for them. And I told them, come on, man, we'll pray for each other, you know? And so that's what we did. And then we kind of, you know, we turned it into like a Bible study every day,
Yeah.
and it turned into a pretty cool thing where it was all races and all walks
I
of
love that.
life all over the place. And I'm gonna tell you that's so far different than what I was raised like.
Yeah. And
I
it's so
was
far different than what prison culture is, because prison culture is so racially divided.
absolutely
Well, if you come to Wheaton
Like
Baptist Church, the first thing the preacher's going to teach you is that there is one race of
the one
people,
race.
one
Yeah, come
race.
on. I
Yes.
caught
right.
all kinds of flack because when I went down, like I didn't, I wouldn't, my criminal background involved doing some meth, but like it wasn't ever with any kind of organization or anything, and just to be completely transparent, like, the Woods were always after me and all the other, families or whatever. And I had friends that were black and that were Mexican. Like the whites could eat with Mexicans, but you couldn't eat with blacks, you
Right.
know? And I was eating
Right.
with the black dudes. Like, and I
Right.
told them, I said, F what you're talking about, man. Like, I'm not here to please you. Like, this dude's my friend. So like it's a very racially divided, and like
Absolutely.
it's absolutely nuts how bad it is in there over that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so we're doing this Bible study and it carries, so it goes on for a little while and I go back to, the Penal Farm, wound up getting their contract back. And so they shipped me back to the Penal Farm, which is here in Memphis. And,
Yeah.
I got, your time comes together like this, for
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
30 days you do at the penitentiary, you get 8 days off the back. Well, at the penal farm, for every 30 days you do, if you're in a program or something, you get 41 days off the back.
Oh
So it
wow.
came, yeah. So, and when I violated my parole, I had some dope on me, so they gave me another year on top
Yeah.
of to run consecutive with my 11 I
Mm-hmm.
already had. So I had 12 years.
Yeah.
And, uh,
And for anybody that doesn't know, consecutive means you got to either make parole or discharge your original sentence for the
right
next one to
before you
start,
start that one. Right,
before you
right,
start that
right,
one.
right.
Yep.
Concurrent would be running at the same time.
Running at the same time. Yep.
So, I get back to the penal farm and I'm a different person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm a, I just walk different. Act different. I don't do the same
Yeah.
things I was doing.
Yeah.
And I start up the Bible study there too, and by the time I left, we had 18 people at six
Come
o'clock
on.
every night.
Come on.
We kind of took over this table, at 6 o'clock
Yeah.
every night. There's enough of us,
Yeah.
I got half the
Yeah.
dorm. I got half the
Yeah.
dorm at the table, and we're all
Look at
praying
God.
and
Won't he
and
do it?
and
Come on.
yeah, and I got out April 11th of 2020, and April 11th of this year will be 5 years, that I've been
Love
out,
it.
and I got a little over 8 years clean off of meth now.
Amen.
The day I violated parole was my sobriety date. I've been sober
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
since. Which is September 25th, 2016.
Yeah.
Uh,
Look at God,
but
right? Jennifer, look at God.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. Uh, and you know, for about a year, I didn't, all I did was work. I had a buddy of mine, listen, he would come to visit me every visitation. And this was a
Yeah.
guy that I worked for a couple of times, and he knew my situation. He would come visit me. He would put money on my books. He would tell me to trust God, clean house, and help others.
Yeah.
And when I started serving other people, which I think started when I asked those two guys to come pray with me instead of me praying for them.
Yeah.
When I got outside of myself, that's when it began, man. That's
Come
when
on.
the sanctification process
Mm-hmm.
started. That's when,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, it all started, and that's when I learned, like, this Jesus will fill that hole
Yes.
or that void that I was trying to fill with dope and women and whatever I could,
Right. Right.
you know. And I that sounds so cliche, but until you go through it and it's a real
Yes.
thing in your life, man, listen, I'm gonna tell you what. Uh, there's never a day in my life now where I'm like, man, I wish I had some dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Never.
yeah, when prison is the outcome, I'm straight. You know what I mean? I'm good. I don't.
Yeah. And
I'll
I
over
tell people all the time, you could throw a sack down in front of me right now and I'd throw it back in your face.
guaranteed
Like, what the hell do you want me to do with this?
for sure. Like that. That looks like a whole bunch of trouble to me.
A
Yeah.
whole bunch of trouble. Get that
Yeah,
shit and get out of here. You know what I
get
mean?
away from me while you're at it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
not make it out of here. You
Right. I
know,
might revert back to some old
playing with my
ways to
life
get
like
you
that.
out
What's
of
wrong with
it.
you?
Yeah. Come on.
You know, but yeah. So I was out for about a year, and I had messaged April because I had heard she wasn't doing.
Oh man, y'all froze up. What the hell? Hmm. That's not cool. They froze all the way up on me. Yeah, come on with it, Cody. Exactly. Let me message them. I hope they're not. Yep, here I am by myself. That's awesome. I didn't do anything, Leanne. Dadgummit. Um, hang on. Hey, Sybil. Good to see you, sis. All right, look, Leanne. Like you don't get to not comment for this entire thing and then talk smack to me. Jeez, man. Casey, it is so this isn't even my favorite keyboard. My favorite keyboard is at work. It's a Dell Alienware gaming keyboard. This one's a gaming keyboard too, and it clacks a little bit. My keyboard at work, and I actually have another one I need to plug in here that's similar to it. It's a clacking son of a gun. Like it clacks. Yeah, Ellen, gotta love technology. Like they're not even coming back in yet. I don't know what happened. Alyssa, look, sis, it's not me. All of y'all like haven't commented at all during this whole thing, and now you're gonna comment and talk smack to me. I love all of y'all too. Yeah, Casey. So look, before Jennifer and I got together, and my living situation may change very soon. I had all this crazy stuff figured out for my background, like some, LED rope lights and all kinds of stuff with, you know, anyway, it'll still happen. It just may not happen as quick as what I thought it was going to do. Boy, y'all are some shit talking son of a guns. Man, I love all of y'all too. Alyssa is like on my ass right now. Yeah, blame it on the update, Kalila, for real. So Kalila's been trying to go live. She has been going live the past couple weekends, and I've been trying to coach her through it. And y'all, I've done this for a side gig for years, and then restreamed it an update, and nothing is exactly like it was. Um, there they are. So anyway, the update has stuff all kinds of jacked up, but that's not what happened tonight.
Sorry about that. I
Hi,
think it was
y'all.
our
You're
Wi-Fi.
back. Yeah, it's good. Y'all are back. It's okay. Everybody was talking shit to me in the comments about how I was so terrible. So, thank y'all for
Two of
that.
my friends messaged me and said they've been watching.
Yeah.
So look, real quick before we
anyway,
jump back into it, yeah, if any of y'all are watching and we're not connected on Facebook, please send me a friend request. Because I see some people commenting that I'm not connected to, and I'm terrible about going back through the comments. So y'all send me a friend request. Anyway, go ahead, David.
So she messages me back about a month later, and she's like, not doing too good, in a hotel. Can you bring me a Newport? and immediately, immediately, I'm like, oh man, I know what's going on. So I go
Yeah,
to
she
the
jonesing
hotel.
like a son of a gun.
Yeah, yeah. So I go to the hotel and I take her a pack of cigarettes and I'm talking to her and like I just know that she's not well, she's not good, and I'm like, look, it's in Nutbush, but I got a 3-bedroom house. It's just me, and my intentions were strictly and honestly just being a friend. I was just,
Well,
maybe subconsciously there was something else, but I was just being a friend. I wanted her to be okay, you know. So she's like, all right, I'm like, you can stay there until you figure out what you're gonna do. And so we pack up all of her whole house in the hotel room and and take it back, take it to
Look
my
at
house,
God.
load it back in my truck and take it to the house. And so, she stays there and
Ava, stop. Stop. Sorry.
and I guess a couple of days go by and it, you know, kind of, evolves into something else. And she ain't left yet. So
And why?
uh so it was it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool. And so she was, she was in active addiction at the time.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
other side of that, coming from where I was, I thought he was going to be like everybody else in the streets. Really.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even though I knew we had history from knowing each other from childhood, I always waited for that other foot to drop, and it never did.
Yeah.
And he has been the one consistent thing in my life since my divorce. And that's huge because he's kept his word on everything he said he would do. And I was so, y'all, I was pitiful when I tell you, like, I um I cried all the time, because I was like an empty shell of myself walking around without my kids, without a
Yeah.
purpose, without God, I mean, I was literally, like I said, I was in the belly of the beast for real. And had been in some really bad places over the past, couple of years. And when David showed up, um and told me I could come over there, I honestly thought it was just going to be like everything else, just a
Yeah.
few days. And it wasn't that. I'll never forget the first couple of nights that I slept over there. We slept in the same bed, but he kept his shoes on and his pants on. And I thought that was so respectful because, like, I come from the
that
streets,
that
right?
shoes on with some prison stuff. Like you stay laced up. You don't have stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
That's right.
Literally, like, laying beside me like this, like, not trying to move, not trying to make me
Right.
uncomfortable. But there's a
Yeah.
lot to be said about that because I was in a
No, for
really,
sure.
really fragile place, and he
Yes.
was very respectful to me, and he told me I couldn't use there, right? And so since I thank God for this, right? I respected him, and
Yeah.
he told me I couldn't use there, and so I wasn't going to use there. So
Yeah.
I'll never forget leaving and going to the casinos with a group of friends, and that was the last weekend that I used meth. And see, I have two sobriety dates. And I have that, I think, because of my sanctification process. It's very
Yeah.
important. The date that I put down meth is very important because that started that process for me.
Yeah.
But it was like 3 months later that I stopped drinking and smoking weed. You know, I say this, David led me to water and I drank, right?
Yeah.
Like that last weekend I was at the casinos, I was there for one night and I called him and was like, please come get me.
And it was like
Yeah.
6 inches of snow on the ground,
Yep.
and I
It
drove
was
down
4 years
there.
ago.
Yeah, I drove down there, and as soon as she got in the truck, I was like, because she told me she wasn't going to use, And as soon as she got in, I could tell she'd been up all night,
Yeah.
And when you used to live that
Yeah.
life and you're sober,
Yeah.
you can
You
see
can
it from a
ping
mile
somebody
away.
quick.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Quick, quick, quick.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So I looked at her and I was like, and I knew she was, but I still have to hold
Yeah.
her accountable. And I did, and that was it. That
He
was
had
it.
this little pit, Stormy, and I detoxed on his couch and cried, and that pit just held me and let me cry for two
Really.
weeks straight. Not already, I was already crying, even using, right? I was so sad.
Right.
But then when you
Right.
come off of the drugs and you're detoxing, you
Yeah.
are super sad. And this sweet dog just loved me through it, and both of them.
Yeah.
You know, him and that dog, they were like, "Hey, you're gonna be all right." And it got to a point where, like, he was like, "Hey, you gotta get up. You gotta take a shower." And I was like, "I don't want to take a shower. I just want to
Yeah.
cry." And he was like, "Come on, I'll wash your hair." And it was the sweetest, like, most tender moments, like
I
him,
love
like
it.
going, "I'm gonna wash your hair," and he would lift my soaking wet red face up and look me in my eye and say, "I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. You don't have to
Man,
do
that's
this no
beautiful.
more." And thank God for second chances. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't let me down
Yeah.
yet. Everything he said he was going to do, he has stayed consistent in my life because my
Yeah.
mouth still gets me in trouble sometimes, even to this day. And he still continues to hold me down. I'm not lying. We had to have 2 meetings on Sunday with 2 different groups of people because of me. I'm the common denominator. I'm the problem. But my husband handles it so well. You know,
and
we're
I and I
definitely.
love and I love how, like, even in our brief interactions, like, I've talked to y'all in person for all of 30 minutes, a couple times on FaceTime, through Jennifer or whatever.
Yeah.
And just to see that y'all's dynamic,
Mhm.
like like
It's awesome.
it is awesome. And like, this may seem trivial to some people, but like when you texted me today, it was in a group chat with both of us.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that's the way it should be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that,
Oh
the
yeah.
dynamic between y'all is just like amazing. And
Well, and
it blows me away.
I have to give credit to my church for that. Seriously, because our church has molded us into the couple that we are today.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Today, like what it's like today, Witten Baptist Church, man, if you're struggling, if you're trying to get connected, you're trying to get plugged in, y'all come 10:30 Sunday morning, or actually we have Sunday school at 9:30 and then church on at 10:30.
Yeah.
But we have a war room, and war room stands for where
Yes.
addicts recover, and they meet on Wednesdays. I mean, sorry, Thursdays.
At 6:30,
Yep.
it's a Christ-based recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, like, our church offered um marriage classes for us to come and learn how to be godly wives and godly husbands.
Right.
We have accountability groups, both of us. And something else that God did, which is so cool, is he put
So
us in
let
a
me
group.
interrupt you for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Jennifer just texted me. Alyssa's watching, and she
Oh,
made several comments while y'all were like trying to get the Wi-Fi back going or whatever. Like
oh,
Alyssa's watching, and like that makes me so happy. Like
she's such a sweet
anyway,
girl. Yes,
she's isn't she?
yes, yeah, she's cool. Yeah, she is.
Okay, so
She's a cool
anyway,
kid.
yeah, I love
Um,
her.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um, so God put us in in a setting, right? Where, and let me give credit. I have a lot of girlfriends in sobriety, okay? But
Yeah.
there's a group of 5 of us, and the similarities that we share is insane, right? Because we're all 5 married couples, all 5 with children, all 5 new at this church, all 5 trying to learn the word, um, all 5
Recovery.
in sobriety,
Right.
right? So shout out to Angela and John Snipes, Lauren
Yes,
and George
I met them
Vance,
too the same weekend I
Marissa
met
and
y'all.
Mike Burkett, Kate
Yeah.
and Robert Bonds, and us. Now I got Sarah and Jennifer and all these other friends that are in sobriety, but these married couples, right?
Yeah,
Are that's a big deal.
yeah,
Five
for
of
sure.
us together, learning how to walk together and hold each other accountable outside of our own accountability groups. And then
Yeah,
there's the motorcycle ministry that he's
yes,
in. Um,
Yeah.
I'm my sponsor, Anna. Oh my gosh, thank God for good sponsorship. People that come and selflessly give up their time to sit down and help someone else work the steps.
yeah,
That makes a huge difference. A huge difference in my life. I learn every day all of my shortcomings and how, if it wasn't for um Alcoholics Anonymous and us being sober, I don't know that we could ever have been good members of our church. We could
yeah,
have never showed up for
yeah.
them and been had open ears to hear what they were trying to teach us.
So I'm gonna say something real quick
Okay.
about our church. So we started going to the church, right? And Ava was born, right? And so the pastor, he's super cool, very down to earth, also in recovery. Um,
We love Pastor Jeff.
yeah. And so him and his son come to our house one day, and they're like,
Pastor
"Look, we
Josiah.
just want to see what y'all are about, right?" So we go and we're talking to him, and I let him, I pretty much tell him my story, and he said, "We want to let y'all know something that y'all may not know." And we're like, because at this time I'm like wanting to do everything right because I've already screwed everything up, so
Yeah.
I don't want to do nothing that's going to put me or jeopardize my freedom or do anything that's going to even remind me of how I used to be. So I'm like, all right, what's going on? Like I'm like, hurry, please tell me. And he's like, y'all are living in open sin because y'all live together, y'all have a child together, and you're not married. And the Bible says, you know, there's no sex before marriage. You're not supposed to live together before you get married, and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is terrible. Like uh, we got to fix that. And I had asked her already. We were already engaged, but she wanted, she was trying to uh,
Get
make
us
it
to
to
her
where her
house.
boys could be at our wedding, and
Mm-hmm.
um, they didn't tell us, and hold us accountable about the living in open sin. They also offered the solution of a free wedding at the church. They're like,
Yeah.
look, you just tell us when you want to do it, and we'll do it, and I'll
Yeah.
marry you. And
Yeah. Mike Burkett was our
Mike was our
yeah,
DJ.
he was our everything. He was our planner. I mean, between him and Marissa, yeah, they were like,
Right.
this is gonna be fine. It's gonna be easy. We're gonna get y'all through it. And they
Yeah.
did.
And just wouldn't you know it, God made it to where her boys were in that wedding regardless.
Yep. They sure
I
She
were.
love
she
it.
she accepted that and was like, uh, you know, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. And God made it to where those boys were still there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so we weren't living in open sin anymore. We were following the Bible and doing what we were supposed to be doing. And
Yep.
and that was a huge step in the right direction, I think, for us.
Yeah, and that's a step that Jennifer and I have taken, and it's a step I've never had in any relationship. Like we both
Right.
decided in the very beginning, we're not going to have sex before we get married. Like we're going to wait until we get married, and it's
Yeah.
all brand new to me, but it's also a very, very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah.
Well,
It's
he'll
pure,
record
bro.
it.
It's pure, and
yeah.
it's so different than how I would ever have been before. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
me
Like
too,
before, you're
bro.
like, nah,
Yeah,
man,
no,
I'm not even thinking about
no,
that. You know,
no.
and now it's like the last what week was it a week?
What?
When we found out about that, how long was it? I guess no, you stayed at the house, didn't you?
What are you
Up
talking
until the day
Mike,
before we
send
got
me a
married.
friend request. Mike Burkett, please send me a friend request.
about? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
our
Mike's a good
Nico.
one.
Yeah.
He's a good one, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He's
We got a
good.
lot of
He's
good
on
ones in our
fire for
life
God,
right
bro.
now.
and
And
I don't mean to cut any y'all. I don't mean to cut y'all short, but I know y'all have a Bible study at 8,
yeah,
and it's 8:02.
it's all
So
good.
And we could talk forever.
okay, okay,
Yeah, it's all good, bro. You're good.
okay, okay,
Uh, yeah, I already let him know. You know, we may be a little late, so
okay.
it's all
All
good.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so we joined this church, and we're probably a little more on fire about Jesus and God and living like that than a lot of people in recovery would like. But we don't care. You know what I mean? Like this is our life. I'll be 44 in May, bro. I really don't care what
Yeah.
nobody thinks. I'm gonna live
Right.
my life. I'm gonna do what I do. I'm not a big fan of people that judge other people for whatever. So, I'm gonna live my life, and if this is how I feel like
Yeah.
it's the right way to do it, then this is how I'm gonna do it. You know,
Yeah. No, I agree
you know. But
for sure.
that's it, bro. That's it,
Yeah,
man. We
man. I
I
love it.
own a small business. I've been a carpenter since I was, like I said, 13. That's all I've ever done.
Yeah.
It provides a decent living for us, and um, you know, the Lord provides the rest.
Yeah. We ended up going back to court.
Yep. Went to court.
We still have a lot going on with that, but I do have unsupervised, which is huge because that did not
That's
come easy.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
that didn't come easy.
It didn't. It didn't.
Yeah.
And I was a lot of the reason that it didn't come easy. Because of my criminal past and
Yeah.
everything. And I felt bad about that.
Yeah, but I made it hard too, obviously, but
Right.
together, that's why I love this podcast, Ending the Stigma, right? It doesn't,
Yeah.
we don't have to be stereotyped anymore.
Right.
Everybody's
Mm-mm.
recovery isn't the same,
Right.
It's
but we can
not.
all reach. And see, that was one of the things that they brought up was like, well, how do you have two sobriety dates? And I'm like, well, it was a big deal for me to put down my drug of choice. It was a big
Right.
deal. And everybody
Right.
might not understand what sanctification is. But basically what sanctification is the time between you being in the streets and you learning the word and you adjusting accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Becoming more
And
holy.
I've got 2 sobriety dates too. Like I quit meth. I call it the 28th of February in 2008 because that's when I got arrested. I was clean a couple days before that, but I really don't remember which day, so I just call it the day I got arrested.
Right.
But then after my divorce, and then when I got off parole really recently after that, I say recently, like a year later, started drinking a little bit, not anything crazy. But then when my brother died last March, like I was drinking almost a bottle a night up until about a month ago. Like
Yeah. I
it was
remember you
bad. Like
posted
it
that
was,
and I like reached out to Jennifer and was like, hold on, wait a minute. This dude only got 8 days of
yeah,
sobriety. And she was like,
yeah,
no, April, but
yeah.
everybody's recovery story isn't the same.
Right.
It isn't, and I should have like that's one of those things I should have known better because I know how my personality is. But
Right.
when my brother died, like it messed me up, and I didn't handle it well at all. Like I'm not making excuses for it at all because I should have turned to God and just put my trust in God, but instead I turned to a bottle, and
Well,
I
Yeah.
stayed that way for 10 months or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and when I finally put it down, now I have 2 sobriety dates, one from drugs in '08 and one from alcohol
Right.
I'd have to look. I have a counter going on my
Hey,
phone,
but
but
it's
I'd
a
have to
date,
look
bro.
and see.
You know what I mean?
It is a date.
It's a date.
Yeah,
You do
it's to
have to
date.
start-
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's it's got to start somewhere. You know.
yeah, yeah.
And it ain't like you ain't got the support. You know what
And
I'm
No,
God,
saying?
exactly
You got
right.
all the support in the world,
and
bro.
when you're
All the
doing what you're
support in the
supposed to
world,
be,
man.
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
do what you're supposed to be doing, God rewards that. Like, so when we were living in Nutbush, obviously in the beginning of our relationship, and that was one of the things that had came up, about my boys was the neighborhood, and I understand that, but we were trying to move, but every time we would apply somewhere, they would say, not with that background, not with all that,
Yeah.
not with those
They
charges.
didn't want me cooking dough in their house, bro.
I mean, but
Right.
can you blame
Imagine
them?
that.
Imagine that. Like, man. So anyway, we just stayed obedient. It's just kept on, kept
Yeah.
on, and kept on. And then I'll never forget, we came and we looked at this house on a Sunday, and we had the keys on Monday. No
That's
background.
Dude was like,
amazing.
he's
No.
like, just bring me X amount of dollars and you got it. I
Yep.
ain't gonna do a background. I ain't gonna do
And
nothing.
and I look at stories like that because Jennifer and I are looking at trying to get a place for when we get married.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my credit's crap right now. Like I have a background. Like
It's okay.
we can't afford first month and last month. Like God, you're just gonna have to
It's
show
okay.
up.
Yeah.
And looking at stories like y'all's, I'm like, you know what? God is gonna show up. You
It
know what
may
I
not
mean?
be immediately, and it's gonna be
No,
in his
right, right.
time.
Yeah.
Tell,
You know what I mean?
will you tell Jennifer that, please? Will you tell her
Yeah,
that? Just
yeah,
please,
yeah. I got you,
please.
bro. I got you. I got you.
Yeah. If it's his will, he'll do it.
Guaranteed.
Come
Yeah.
here. Come here. You want to say hi?
We'll make it
You wanna
happen.
come here. You want
You
to say
know,
hello?
he's got to stay obedient, bro.
Can you say
You know?
Yeah. Hi, Ava.
hi? Say
It's
Hi,
my
Ava.
mini me.
hello.
Yeah, for real.
They're in that drawer right there. That first drawer. You want her markers?
Well, y'all,
But
I
yeah,
appreciate y'all
so
so much, man. I really do. Like, this has been an awesome conversation, and it's just amazing. Yeah, Jennifer. Hush it.
What'd she say?
She's
Hush
so.
it.
She said, "Hush it." Yeah, she's so impatient. But I mean, it's just amazing. Like, this is just the way God works. Because, like I said, I've met y'all for 30 minutes in real life. We talked
Yeah.
very briefly on the block, and
But I want him
been
to read
part.
one thing before
Can I
we get off
read
of
something
here.
real quick?
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
Um,
go ahead. Go ahead.
When our children's ministry during our staff meeting read this today, and it was from a book called Lead by Paul David Tripp, and I'm going to let him read it. But
Okay.
Jake is him and his wife Michelle are over our children's ministry, and they're amazing. And so when he
Okay.
read this, I said I have to share this tonight.
All right.
Yeah,
You
do
ready?
it. Yeah.
All right. It says, because of what God has done for us in the person and work of Jesus Christ, our leadership communities have been freed to be the most honest communities on earth. We are free to confess weakness because Jesus is our strength. We are free to confess failure because all of our failures have been covered by his blood. We are freed from taking credit for what only God can produce. We are freed from respectfully disagree with one another because we get our identity and security from our Lord and not from one another. We are free to
Yeah.
confess wrong attitudes toward and actions against one another because grace allows us to reconcile. We are freed from the allure of power and position because we have been freed from looking horizontally for what can only be found vertically. And we are free because of Christ's work to talk about these things and confess how we struggle with them.
Mm.
We do recover.
We do recover, and we do it out
Yeah.
loud. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank y'all again so much. Like, this has
Thank
been
you.
Thank you, Chris.
freaking amazing, and I love y'all so much. Like, this is
Love you too, brother.
for real, man. And I
Love
can't
you
wait. Like,
too.
I just know, like, this is the beginning of really a God ordained friendship. You know what I mean? Like, even though
sure.
y'all are 7 hours away, like, I know. So David just said, please repost what he's reading. If you want to take a picture of that or type it out or whatever and post it,
We got
that was
you.
good. That was good stuff.
Can you comment on
Oh
this?
yeah. I can do that.
She's gonna comment that
Okay.
on here
Okay. Okay.
from her phone.
That's perfect.
Right now. Somehow.
I don't know if she can.
I should be able to.
No.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, she may be able to do it afterwards or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
You know.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yep.
Guys, thanks again.
Chris,
I
we
love y'all
appreciate
so
you, brother.
much. Yeah. Let me see who I have next week. I don't have anybody scheduled next week. I got to get somebody scheduled next week. I'll have somebody scheduled next week by next week. Keith Burgess, I don't know if you're still watching. I'd love to have you on next week if you're available. If not, that's cool too. And David and April, I'll probably
Love
see
you.
y'all within the month.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right,
Love
y'all.
y'all.
Y'all have a good evening. Go enjoy your Bible study. Guys, thank y'all so much for joining us. I say it all the time. Couldn't do it without y'all showing up in the comments. Like I absolutely, this is why I love live streaming versus just podcasting, is because of all the people that show up and just interact and all that kind of stuff. And I don't ever take it for granted that y'all show up and support. So thank y'all so much. And we will see y'all next week.
Bye.